So, if you're just joining, wow. Wait, is Hans Niemann about to win? No. Maybe? So there's a crazy, crazy battle going on right now between Firouzja and Hans. And I have not looked at the game, the game with the engine yet. Still trying to warm up my talking voice. I do have a cup of tea. Yeah, I only briefly looked at the opening earlier. I mean, a lot has happened since the opening. It started with a very standard King's Indian. Firouzja played a not so typical move, Rook E1. Like, Rook E1 is played 0% of the time in the Masters database. Translates to 3 games out of almost 1,000. And then Hans played Knight C6, which is a novelty. And then D4. And then things got really crazy. Especially when Hans took on F2. Once the game is over, I'll probably look at this with engine. But basically, black got, what, rook and 3 pawns for knight and bishop. However, white started winning pawns back. And then the knight was lost, but the bishop was lost. I saw this position. I mean, they had this position, I think, just a few minutes ago. It seemed like white was consolidating, but then queen f2, and white has to, like, not get mated. And after this trade, there's g5, and yeah, the resulting endgame is most likely drawn. But if anything, black is playing for a win. Welcome back to more people. Yeah, so this is round 5 of the Grand Swiss. I figured I'd start the stream just by watching some very top-level games. Oh, they are approaching move 40. Ah, so I wonder... Yeah, this is probably one of the most exciting times to be watching the round. Because players are in time trouble. Like, Jumabayev has 55 seconds to make his 40th move. How's Esipenko doing? This looks pretty drawn. I can't imagine how either player plays for a win. Because black, at the very least, has perpetual. Imagine, like, king g1. But I don't think black can play for a win, because this king is a little bit of a target, like knight g8 or queen f8. Thank you, Nate K. Thank you, Triswis. Oh, Nate K gifting to Will Schertzer. Appreciate that. Triswis subbing for 3 years. Oh, queen takes g6 is also a threat. Yeah, good point. A maiden 1 threat. So this game will probably end pretty soon. Thank you, Loon Boss, for the 50 bits of hype. Hikaru. I think this game is far from drawn. Hikaru's up 2 pawns. It doesn't look like black has enough counterplay. There's a pawn in h3, but it's currently hanging.
Let's go.
And this knight is so solid. Supported by the pawn, controls f3.
2 more months.
Thank you, Nicola Spav. And Mission Control LCD, welcome back. Happy 2 years. Ooh, tricky. Black is saying, oh no, my pawn. Hikaru is smart enough not to take the pawn. If Hikaru takes the pawn, then it's force mate here in checkmate. Which explains queen d1. I imagine Hikaru should win this position. I don't think we need the engine to to evaluate. Who was the last chess streamer, or who was the last streamer you learned a new chess idea from? It's a good question. Probably Peter Lecco. When I woke up this morning, I took a very quick look at the official commentary on Chess24. There's commentary with Lecco and Gustafsson. And Lecco was explaining this move A6, which he had a very good explanation, which I don't know if I can accurately repeat. But the gist of it was he was saying that Esipenko is kind of known for playing the Catalan. So Fabi played this move as a way of discouraging G3, because then there's a cool line B5, which I began looking into. I think I discovered this maybe a year or two ago, but never actually looked into it closely. But apparently this is like completely playable for Black. Black scores quite well in the Masters database too, like winning more of the games. So it's a cool idea to play against a Catalan player who plays this move order, because then in some cases they might not be prepared for G3. Esipenko played knight C3, and then this transposes into a interesting sideline of the QGD. I guess I have to credit Fabiano too. Can we consider Fabiano a streamer? He's a podcaster. Close enough. Wait. Knight E5 after B5. Oh yeah, there are ideas of trying to exploit the diagonal. But the bishop's not yet developed to G2. Also, A6 is useful in sometimes allowing rook A7 to get off the diagonal. I assume... Wait, so what if bishop G2 here? Most people play bishop B7. Because in this case, yeah, if we take, there's... I really want to check with the engine. This is my brief calculation. Knight E5 hitting this and this. D5 looks like it defends everything, but then there's takes. Couple Masters games who followed this path. I play A6 from now on and get crushed because I won't actually look at the lines kappa. Yeah, if you're going to play a side variation or some offbeat line, you should make an effort to be prepared. Although there are cases where you can play an offbeat line and not have too much preparation. Like, as long as you're getting your opponent out of their comfort zone, then you're basically both in fresh territory. I did this in Qatar. Like, one of the openings I was most proud of was this game where I played a super rare idea against a Taimanov. I played this line knight CB5, inspired by Ray Robson, who played this in the World Cup. And I was only prepared for this position. Like, I had no engine analysis, especially after my opponent played this move. But I was happy just to get a fresh position, which I knew the engine slightly prefers for my side. And I got my opponent thinking from early on. What do you play after CB5? Or knight C3 directly? Yeah, I really haven't analyzed it so deeply. Can Black Gambit? I guess it makes sense just to take back. Like, win back the pawn, open the A file. Knight C3 is perhaps discouraged in most cases because B4. And then here. I mean, the thing about pawns, especially earlier in the game, is more centralized pawns can be more valuable. So the fact that Black no longer has an A pawn and has a B pawn is maybe a slight victory, because a B pawn is arguably twice as valuable as A pawn because it controls one more square. A pawn only controls one square. And the A file is nice too. If knight C3 here, Yeah, knight c3 probably we can take. Okay, what does engine say? Curious. Engine says there's a lot of playable moves, but yeah, this is definitely not a refuted opening. Thank you, Amoid. Happy 2 months. I did go through a phase of playing exactly this position. I would usually play it from a different move order, like playing d5 first, and then playing a6 on move 4. But it's a fun sideline, becoming more popular in recent years. You play b6 instead of a6. Yeah, b6 is way more common, like the most common move in this position. Although I'm a little bit surprised d5 is not the most common move. Maybe on Lichess. Yeah, on Lichess it's most common, but I mean, d5, b6, bishop b4, and c5 are probably the big four. But Fabiano's showing a6 also playable. Yeah, let's go back to the Hans Niemann game because progress has been made. Oops, I wasn't looking at the engine earlier, but yeah, I think it's safe to assume this will be a draw. The losing moves for white are any move that hangs the bishop. Do you think Hans will try to play for a draw here? I mean, he's trying to win, but against Ali Reza, it's going to be a draw unless something crazy happens. I think with even without the pawn, it should be a draw. If we just let's go to board editor. So fun fact, if you're watching a game on Lichess, at least in the broadcast area, and you wanna edit the position, you can go to board editor. And then let's say a hypothetical. We go to analysis board. And we have table base here, so any position with 7 or less pieces is solved. And I think this is easy to understand that like the bishop is always gonna be controlling g4, so it's basically impossible for black to make progress. The king can't go to g4, the pawn can't really be attacked twice by the king and rook. Although I guess like if you're black, you can try and walk around to e3 and then get into f2. I have to go back to the broadcast window. But okay, with the pawn and a4, I think it's even more drawn. But we might see like Hans walk his king, throw in the check, getting king f2, maybe provoke the pawn to move. Go to another board. Yeah, let's find a more exciting game. Wait, Hikaru lost a pawn? Okay, Sarana is threatening mate. Always play f3. Wait, what? Why is the knight not just hanging? Does this line really work? Queen a1? King f2, queen h1? Wow, that's crazy if that works. What a fancy idea. Because black is guaranteed to win the pawn. Like, there's no way to defend because the king has no move to move off the second rank. If king e2, then black's actually winning because the pawn's just promoting. Wow. So Sarana said, oh no, my knight. Hikaru doesn't fall for it. Loses a pawn. But then the queens are traded by force. So Hikaru's up a pawn here. Now, I will say that sometimes knight endings have similar properties to king pawn endings, where if one side is up a pawn, then they're very likely to win. But this could maybe still be a struggle. And this knight would somehow like to attack this pawn. We might see g5, g4 coming. It definitely takes technique. Queen a2 is such a cool move. Hikaru didn't take too much time to respond with king f2. G4, king G3 looks winning. Oh, that's a very good point. It's a very good point. And Hikaru has a lot of time to calculate. Because yeah, the problem for black, like this knight would like to get counterplay, but these pawns are defended, so the king can kind of do its own thing. If G4, how does black even respond? Oh, maybe G4, there's takes, and knight E4. But then king F3, knight's hit, and then king G3 is coming. Any other ideas? I guess another idea is to just get the king to B3. Like, this could be an interesting line. Here, 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 here. And then try and take advantage of the fact white's king is out of play, and this pawn could be a target. But you'd imagine that, yeah, white being up 2 pawns, it should be winning. Yeah, if you're just joining, it's a more chill, kind of laid back commentary stream. Watching the conclusion of round 5, the Grand Swiss. So Fabiano officially drew, which means Esipenko will still be in first place going into round 6. If Hikaru wins, he'll be tied with Esipenko. Do you think slow games online are similar to over-the-board games? E.g. 45 plus 45. Yeah, they're definitely more similar to like an online blitz game or rapid game. I think it's still different. Like, so when you play over the board, there's more pressure. You're in the 3rd dimension. You're sitting across from your opponent, so there's sometimes more psychology. Some people can struggle also like transitioning from, especially when it comes to board vision, like being able to see the whole board in real life compared to online. Yeah, also sometimes when you play online, there's just more distractions. Like, obviously when you play online, like you shouldn't be cheating, but sometimes like your phone will go off or things will happen in your environment that detract from your attention to the game. And with over-the-board chess, it's, I think, much easier to get in the zone. What do you think separates you from someone like Hikaru? I think there's a lot of factors. Hikaru's definitely spent way more hours devoted to chess than me. In terms of like chess understanding and chess style, and Hikaru is so much sharper tactically, has much better positional understanding and intuition. I think understands her structures better. So definitely a lot of things to learn from what Hikaru does. Yeah, long story short, Hikaru is just better at chess. He's still capable of making mistakes. He's also just way more consistent too. How would you go about adapting to OTB? You have a decent rating online, but unable to play in-person events. It's helpful to find even like a chess club or chess meetup or friends in the area that you can play over the board games with. Go to a cafe, set up a board. Or if you're studying solo, like when I was younger, I would go through chess books.
Best and most chill chess streamer.
Oh, thank you, MLP. Yeah, basically below the age of like 12. The way I studied chess was basically by having a chess book and then setting up the positions over the board. And then gradually I like transitioned to online. I think a lot of players are different these days where they start online and then transition to OTB. Okay, so we are seeing this line play out. We didn't see king e6, which my first impression, but maybe king g5. Interesting. So white wants to play king g3 and h4, but king g3 runs into maybe knight e4. And king's tied down to defend the pawn, here. Yeah, the king has to find a square. I mean, there is king e2 attacking the knight. But as white, you don't want to repeat. And if h3, there's king h4. So it'll be interesting to see Hikaru's technique here. Oh yeah, there's also the chess up board. Yeah, if you want to play online games with a physical chessboard, I have a video that featured it recently. Do you have the chess up command? Yeah, it's one of the more recent videos on my YouTube channel. I'll probably be making more content with it, because it works pretty nicely. You can connect it with LeChess or chess.com. Can you pre-move with the chess up board? Actually, I don't think I've tried. I would assume no. I'd also say that you probably shouldn't pre-move if you're using the board, but maybe it could be an interesting experiment. All right, let's see what's happening. Maybe we'll do a quick round through the ongoing games. Vincent Keymer against Predke. Keymer's up 2 pawns. Wow. Or no. It's 2 pawns and bishop for rook. So similar imbalance to the Hans Niemann game, which is already drawn. Game ended after bishop e5. This game... Yeah, it's probably only black playing for a win. Imagine it should be a draw, though. Have you ever felt you missed an opportunity in chess? Looking back on choices. It's possible. But nothing I like seriously regret. I think my biggest missed opportunity was it was in a single game in the 2015 Chicago Open. It was a final round. I was playing Grandmaster Ashwin Jairam. I think he was a Grandmaster at the time. Maybe it could have still been IM. Yeah, I wrote an article for US Chess in 2015. This is like the old version of the US Chess site. It's like built in the early 2000s. But in 2015, I had like my best tournament performance ever. Even better than the performance I had recently in Qatar. Yeah, going into last round, I was tied for first place. This is like a big open tournament with a lot of grandmasters. If I won the last round, I would have gotten first place and a GM norm and several $1,000s. It would have been like close to $8,000. Ashwin was a IM at the time. But he was about to become a GM. And basically, yeah, we played a game. I was black. And we got to this position. I've kind of suppressed some memory. I forget exactly what I did in this position. But I do remember I didn't play the best move. And this is, like, this exact position is one of my biggest regrets of my chess career. Because white's last move was pawn takes b6. So it's black to move. If we count material, black is up a knight. Also, yeah, pawns, it's equal. So, yeah, just up a full knight. My rook's attacked. I think I remember what I did. So in the game, I was scared if I move my rook, then white would play queen a4, queen a7, and then destroy my king. But it turns out that if I moved my rook, I would have been like completely winning. So there were ways to essentially run away. Unfortunately, there's no easy way to like show the position on the board. Rook cd7, queen a4. I was supposed to just play rook d7 and then take the pawn and then run with my king. So anyway, I gave back material and I didn't win this game. I missed out on a GM norm and tying for first place. But it was a valuable lesson still. Yeah, we still have the GM command. Becoming a GM is still not a primary goal. But I still enjoy competing in events these days. And I would like to think I've improved over the last few years as a chess player. Can you set up the eval board? I think you mean the eval bar. Generally, when I look at top level games, I don't like to have the engine evaluation right away because there's cases where I like to try and understand what's happening with my brain and then only later check what the engine thinks. I think it's a more useful exercise to try and learn something when watching top level games. It takes more mental work though. You're not like passively just seeing like who's likely to win, but you have to really think like what's going on in the position. So maybe I can do that with this game. Let's just have some context. It's Erigaisi against Jumabayev, two very strong grandmasters. Looks like they played some... Wow, so black took a lot of time out of the opening. Yeah, Jumabayev maybe taking time to choose what he wanted to play. But he was clearly out of theory by move 10 and played a very confrontational line. So zooming forward, some interesting trades. And white was up a pawn and 2 pawns. But black having 2 bishops, some active play, wins back the a4 pawn. Let's zoom forward. So after g4, it's 3-on-1 against 1-on-2. First impression tells me this is very good for white. Because the 3-on-2 is just ready to, or the 3-on-1 I should say, is ready to roll down the board. Like g5, f6 coming, h4 can come if needed. Meanwhile, it's much harder for black to make a pass pawn. But the downside for white is this knight is a little bit out of play. It's not trapped. There's a c2 square. This is also kind of awkward for black. These pieces are a little bit stuck, like this knight as well. I mean, as black, you want to get counterplay, like rook d3 or rook d2, but maybe rook d3, hitting the pawn.
Really enjoy all the hour-long Super Blitz Arena videos.
Nice to hear.
YouTube, where you go full ham and all-out aggro on dubious and dangerous gambits. A new series of those would be very welcome. I find you racing to get first place while playing bonkers gambits are
super exciting must-watch. Yeah, I'll definitely consider that. Of course, I'm doing this speedrun series on chess.com. But I'd actually like to do like a tricky opening / gambit speedrun as well. Like show what sort of openings work against different rating levels. Why didn't black play rook d3? Maybe rook c1? Oh, maybe just f6. Trying to calculate. Okay, very soon I'll check with engine, but I'm imagining rook d3, f6, take, and then... Okay, we can't play f7 immediately because bishop takes, but there's this move. Sacrifice the rook. And whatever takes back, then f7, and the pawn can't be stopped. Or can it? Because there's knight b3 here, check, and then knight e6. So yeah, maybe that's a faulty line. In worst case, rook c1. Rook d2 is played. Oh, hitting the pawn and also having ideas of this move. Ooh. So how does white deal with this? This is one reason why I like looking at the position without the engine, because I have so many questions. And hopefully very soon my questions will be answered. I have a better understanding. Yeah, rook a2 seems like a massive threat. Of course, you don't really want to lose your h-pawn. Can white get counterplay, like f6, rook a2, c4? Calculating this, take c4, but then takes and the knight's pinned. Oh, maybe f6 is still playable, because here, take here. Compared to the other line, knight d4 is not working, because just pawn takes. So maybe we'll see f6. Seems like a very tricky position to calculate. Another suggestion, rook h1, knight b1. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, at a high level, you really have to calculate concretely before playing the next move. Like if I'm considering rook h1, I'd be calculating rook a2, knight b1, and then rook a1. Threatening bishop a2. Also with rook here, you have to be very cognizant of bishop d5 ideas. Yeah, if you're just joining, these games are from the Grand Swiss. Round is wrapping up. Maybe pretty soon I'll transition into playing chess rather than watching chess. But okay, let's check with engine. So white is significantly better. f6 is a move that keeps advantage. Engine likes g5. What's the point? Rook a2? The engine might not be at high enough depth to understand. Like it says g5 plus 2, but then when you play it, it kind of changes its evaluation. I'm curious earlier too, because I was looking at rook d3. Just rook c1. Simple enough. f6 is king d7. Yeah, this game could go on. But Arjun definitely in the driver's seat. Any decisive games? It's a good point. Like, so many draws on top. So boards 20 through 22 were decisive. Richard Rapport winning. I like watching Richard Rapport. He always has like cool new opening ideas. I didn't look at this game earlier, so let's see if he did anything like wild or wacky in the opening.
Hey, Eric. Congratulations on the fantastic showing in last time.
Thanks so much. Hi,
And
Jinx.
the amazing games in Qatar. Hope your weekend is going well and continues to bring you joy.
I appreciate that. Thanks for the kind words. Also, happy 3 years. Subbing for 36 months. Yeah, this is like a very normal opening for Richard. I wanted to compare Rapport's opening repertoire to Trader Joe's. Because when you go to Trader Joe's, there's so many cool products that you can't find anywhere else. But this game, like, Richard is basically playing, it's just like a bag of rice. Like, you can find it anywhere. But sometimes with his games, like, you'll find some, what are the cool Trader Joe's products? Cookie butter, bacon jam. There's these like hazelnut chocolate cream puffs, which are really good too. But yeah, this is just I mean, it's an interesting Italian. Richard sometimes deviates a bit earlier in opening theory. Please watch a Shirov game. Where's Shirov? Control F Shirov. Oh, Shirov is done. So Shirov beat Alham. Very strong international master. I assume he should be becoming a GM pretty soon. Welcome back to AKD. Slumming a tier 3 for 50 months. Good to see you. Okay, so with this game, I'm completely hiding the notation. So every move will be maybe a surprise, although d5 is not a true surprise. Okay, advanced variation. Shirov played advanced variation of French against Sindarov, I believe, a few rounds ago. Sometimes it could be a good practice to really slow down and try and like guess the moves of the winning side, but moving through at a slightly more rapid pace. Seems like this is a good success to get rid of this bishop, and then, yeah, with b3, bishop a3 is coming. So black can't castle. Rook a4 is nice. Make sure the pawn's covered. If takes, there's b4. Bishop goes to g5. Pawn goes to a6. Wow. Some cool play by Shirov. I'm just lifting the rook, leaving the pawn here. This bishop looks kind of stuck, but it can't be trapped. Like f6, we just take twice. Wow, Shirov sacks a rook. What does he get in return? He gets a pawn. So it's pawn and bishop for rook. Some initiative hitting this rook. This pawn is now isolated. Wow, bishop f4 is now a threat. These pawns are weak. But c2 is hanging. That was queen c2, bishop f4. Oh, he trades queens. Because knight d4 coming? Wow. So Shirov's down the exchange. He traded queens, but his minor pieces are like so good. And he's winning back material. Did black have to play rook a2? Because rook a2 allows takes, and knight c6. And the ending is really nice for white because the pawn falls. So why not? I guess it's awkward for black. Like rook c3, then b5 hangs. And you can't take the pawn because bishop f4 and knight c7. Is this like just winning for white? Oh, it's equal. Wait, what happened? Oh, did I make a... Wait, I thought rook a2 was played. Oh, rook c3 was played. Wait, now I'm confused. I thought rook a2 was the main line. So rook a2 should have been played. But why? Oh, this ending was more holdable than the other ending. So rook c3 was a blunder because he didn't take on b5 right away, which I was analyzing. I guess black is just stuck here. Which is kind of crazy. Like the minor pieces are so well placed, and it's hard for black to untangle. And he like just gradually makes progress. Eventually gets knight c7. Some windmill even. Wow! Look at that move. Did the game end with this? Oh, that's so beautiful. You don't see this pattern every day. How far did he calculate? He probably didn't calculate this line from back when he sacked the exchange. But this is such a cool mating pattern. You sack the rook. And if the knight takes it, it's mate in 2. It's like such a random mate in 2. Knight b6. Bishop f4 checkmate. A6 pawn is clutch. Yeah, fire on the board. Actually, I own that book. I'm not sure if I still have it, but Shirov wrote a book many years ago called Fire on the Board. He's known for having a very aggressive style. Do you remember Bishop h3 by Shirov? Yeah, this is a very famous position. Considered one of the best moves of all time. What's the difference between GM and Super GM? Mainly just rating. I mean, Super GM is not an official title, but usually refers to someone who's 2700 plus. So, good website to track is 2700chess.com. And here you can see all the Super GMs. Currently, there's 34 players in the world, or 2700 plus, at least according to live rating. Okay, how's Hikaru doing? So his position looked promising, but he just got forked. But he's gonna do a counter fork very soon. Wow, so he played a4. A seemingly random move. But essentially he's just improving. And he's giving this pawn because if black were to take it after king g3, then there'd be this. And this should be winning for white, because the king's tied down to the knight. If king f5, white can take. There's also e4, which I think is just winning. King h5 take here, and then h4. And white's controlling all these squares. White can pre-move king takes g4. Okay, what to do? Let's run a quick poll. What to do? Keep watching chess or play chess? Viewers can decide my fate. Okay, looks like more people want to see me play chess, which does take a little bit more mental energy. Let's find a tournament to join. All right, well, the daily Blitz Arena is like wrapping up the next, 10 to 20 minutes. So daily Rapid Arena, I guess I'll be late joining. I haven't played Rapid Chess in a little while. I was busy playing classical OTB chess. So we can see here leaderboard, Rapid. I'm probably not on this list. Yeah, I'd be around top 40. But I'd need to play a few more games to become an established player. Thank you, Wizard. Oh, Gari is right around there, yeah. 5 points away from Gari. All right, so let's do this. Joining the tournament. A little bit late. About 45 minutes late. Why are rapid ratings not filled with GMs? Because you have to be actively playing to appear on the leaderboard. And a lot of GMs don't actively play rapid chess. I think if you're inactive for a week, I think your name falls off the list. Okay, playing HBM. I'm not going to be berserking this tournament. The goal is to hopefully be instructive and show how to destroy the London. London, as most people know, it's one of my favorite openings to play for white. But this is my go-to setup as black. Quick c5. It's somewhat of a reverse Queen's Gambit. If white plays c3, the idea is to play Queen b6. Target the pawn. So still theory. Queen c2. Queen c2 is actually a tricky move. Because one of the thematic ideas is to play bishop f5, deflect the queen and win the pawn. But if I play bishop f5 in this position, then white has a counterattack to take here, which I believe is like preferable for white. So I prepared this specifically against Min Lei. I'm pretty sure the move is knight h5. I have a prep file somewhere against queen c2. Knight h5, it's kind of disobeying opening principles because I'm moving the same piece twice, moving the knight to the edge. But I just want to get the bishop pair. And this is a typical move to play as black in the London. And there's ideas later playing g6 and bishop f5. Thank you, Andrew. Gifting to TSH Morel. Oh, Gari received a gifted sub from Andy Oxus. I didn't even realize that. Thanks again to Andy. Oh, goodbye to Andrew. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, let's take the pawn. Yeah, it's usually a success, like to trade C for D pawn, especially now that I have two center pawns. And one goal is to get an E5, which I can't achieve so quickly. White's controlling the square. It does look a little bit weird having my queen on C5. Not easy for white to exploit. B4, I think I can take on B4 because of the pin. Thank you, the modern penguin. Happy 34 months. How long will you be streaming today? Probably at least another hour. Not sure if I'll make it through the rest of the tournament, but definitely have time to play a handful of games. I think my goal is to pass Gari in rating. 2 points away from him. Might take a few games until I can play higher rated opponents. Welcome back to I'm Oceanborn. White's taking time here. It's a question, does white want to move the bishop? Which we have the answer to. Now it's a question, do I actually want to take the bishop? Like, I don't think there's any rush. Like, even though takes, I double the pawns for white. And white would have some, like, easy development. Knight b3 included. So I think I'd rather be a bit more flexible. Because there might be a case where, like, I'll play bishop g7 and e5, get a tempo on the bishop, and then later take it. Also setting up this move. Knight b4 looks cool, but I don't think it does much after queen a4. Okay, let's play bishop g7. So there's a question about bishop c7. Bishop c7 would preserve the bishop, but it's kind of interesting. Takes away squares from my queen. Seems like a very risky move, because any knight move would then attack the bishop. Like maybe I would then have knight b4. Okay, now what to do? e5, castling, bishop f5. A lot of candidate moves. I don't want to take too much time. I like the prospect of just playing e5, controlling the center. And with a pawn on e5, maybe next move I play bishop f5, because bishop d3, then I have the fork. I guess I have to watch out for e4. Yeah, e4 or c4 are like white's main ideas, probably. Welcome to I'm the One. Oh, never missed a recap from Qatar. That's nice. Yeah, it did take a few days to like mentally and physically recover from the tournament and travels and everything. But it'd be nice to be back on like a more normal routine and content schedule. Thank you all in chess. Happy 3. So the queen found a new home. Bishop g5. That's one way to try and preserve the bishop. Yeah, I mean, f6 seems like the obvious move to consider. But then it's a question, what am I doing after bishop h4? I guess then bishop f5. I just don't like f6 because my knight gets stuck a little bit. f6 here, here, here. And what is my knight doing? So if I play g5, there's cases where it takes. I could play queen c7. Perhaps a simpler solution. I could play bishop f5 right away and like counterattack. Okay, I have an idea. Trying to fully calculate this though. So I'm calculating, okay, f6 pure here. Let's say queen d2 and then queen f7, preparing g5. And if h3, g5, and then there's no knight g5 because my queen defends h5. Yeah, let's go for this. I was maybe overthinking everything there, but I think seeing the prospect of queen here followed by g5, making sure things are defended, it looks nice. White doesn't have too many options. Anna Cramling manual raid. Did something go wrong with automatic raid? Thanks, Anna Cramling. Let's give a shout out. Exclam Anna. Thanks for the manual raid. I know in the past there's been streamers that like they type raid Eric Rosen, not realizing my Twitch name is I am Rosen. Sometimes that happens. Wait, automatic raid was not possible. Did something get changed in my settings? Oh wait, let's play bishop f5 first. Settings, stream. I'm allowing raids. I think. Oh, if she was on mobile. Yeah, sometimes if you're not logged into your own chat, then you can't send the raid. I still appreciate the effort. Hope Anna had a good stream. Yeah, if you're just joining, I just started playing some rapid chess. It's a daily rapid arena. This is my first game of the stream, actually. Before this, I was watching the Grand Swiss games. Okay, so tempo is increasing a little bit. I think I'd like to just castle, get the king safe. Yeah, in this configuration, you do have to sometimes be very careful of this move h3, because g4 is not only threatening a fork, but it's threatening to trap my knight, which doesn't really have any safe squares. But the plan after h3 is to play g5, and then once bishop g3 is played, life should be good. I don't mind this trade. Now my d5 pawn is more defended. Oh, someone was just asking about h3, g4. Yeah, it's a bit awkward for white now. Like, black's controlling so much space. Not controlling the square. All right, let's go for g5. It's one of these positions that material is equal, but as black, I have probably a few different types of advantages. Like more space, I have the bishop pair, which could be good long term. And I have initiative. Like, I'm basically the one making threats. But what's my plan? I would really like to get a pawn to h4. But my knight's in the way, I can't really move. Playing this allows this. What about this move? Bishop g4, threatening to take. Let's try this. So it's also unleashing the f-pawn. Maybe someday, like f5, f4. A different way to trap the bishop. And really the focus for me is the king side. Like, most of my pieces are on the king side. It would be nice to get an attack. How does Eric choose who to play? So I'm in an arena tournament. So basically when I finish a game, then Lichess just automatically pairs me for the next game. Which makes life easier, so then I don't have to choose. An actual goose. Happy 30 months. Okay, I'm going to take this. So now, especially with the inclusion of e4, white's in a spot where this bishop is going to be stuck for a long, long time. I don't have to take the bishop. I think I'd rather improve the rook. Also setting up this to improve my bishop. My plan is to play bishop f8, knight g7, h5, h4. And it's so hard to do anything with this, especially with this pawn structure. It's the rare yellow circles. Yellow or orange? Dark yellow. Marigold. Orange, orange, orange. Okay. Sometimes I struggle with identifying colors. Magenta. We have at least one colorblind person in chat. Okay, bishop f8. Thank you, Slingshot. Happy 3 months. If you had to make a choice between only being able to drink tea or eat pizza, you can only have one for the rest of your life. Probably tea. I already drink tea like on a daily basis. I eat pizza maybe like once every 2 months. Yeah, my rate of pizza consumption is pretty low. And tea is way more satisfying. So knight f5, or this move. Let's start with knight f5. Just trying to tighten the grip on the position, force the queen to move back. It's still equal material. But white is suffering positionally. h3 does save the bishop. And now what to do? Like this. The thing is, white doesn't have any obvious plans. So I could be patient. I could also try and be sneaky. I'm going to play an improving move, a5. Sneaky idea, queen a7 and take. Use the pin. I guess I do have to watch out for sacks. But I wouldn't mind going up a piece. Okay, so here... Yeah, let's maneuver the knight. Now the plan is this and checkmate eventually. I think overall this has been a nice instructive game. Because white didn't really make any obvious blunders of material. It was just some like gradual positional mistakes. Yeah, difficult position in the end. Like maybe starting with pawn takes pawn, like conceding the center, and then... Yeah, it was hard to find a plan in the middle game. A booty snatcher saying, interesting pawn structure. Looks like bird wings. And don't mess with my bird wings. Oh yeah, here maybe referring to spreading my wings like an eagle. Or a bat. Probably not like a penguin though. Okay, back to tournaments. So that was the first game. D4 on move 23. Do I have time to analyze? Move 23, D4. Just make sure. Yeah, I didn't want to allow takes. Ah, I see what you mean. Yeah, so D4, there's takes, and queen A3 to defend, and then B4 coming. Maybe it's interesting though, but I didn't want to give the bishop life. Okay. Next game. Play E4. D6 pre-moves. So usually I like to play D4. In this game, I'm going to play a sideline bishop C4. The idea is to get a quick queen E2. And basically, I don't want to commit to knight F3 because there's a line... Or I don't want to commit to knight C3, I should say. There's a line where I play D4, knight F3, E5. b6. b6 I would like to try and punish somehow. I guess here I'll just develop. So e5 comes to mind. Wow, there's a funny line. So first of all, if I play e5, then if takes, I'm hitting the knight and the rook. So most likely is takes. If I lose the g-pawn, I checkmate. And then there's a line, e5 takes, e6 looks like the most natural. But then takes, king g6, queen f7, king h6, d4 or d3, forcing g5, and then h4 threatening double checkmates. The king on h6 having no real defense. So let's play e5. Yeah, this could get bad for black really quickly. Some really potentially fun lines. Oh, I am due for a Halloween Gambit video. Should host like a Halloween Gambit tournament. I think Lichess had one pretty recently. Like maybe earlier today. Okay, not going into any of the funny lines I was looking at. I have d3 here, which looks standard. e6 is a move. What is black doing after d3? Let's find out. Oh, Emberg is having a pizza right now. Nice, hope you enjoy it. I am getting a little bit hungry. That's the one downside of tea. It doesn't fulfill my desire for eating pizza. So, yeah, I can't en passant because this pawn came from d6 rather than d7. That's interesting. If I take the knight, we trade. I do go up a pawn. If I play bishop b5, there's this move. And bishop b3, knight c5, so what do I want to go for? I really like the prospect of throwing in e6. I think I'm just going to play it right away, like basically making a lot of chaos in the position. Maybe objectively it's not the most precise, but basically I want to take on f7, and if takes, then I take the knight, and then takes, and then takes. And the double e-pawns are a bit ugly for black, because it's harder to develop the bishop normally. And e6 will be a target. Knight g5 on tap. Easy development for white. Yeah, I didn't play bishop b5 because c6. It was an option, though. Okay, so now I'll take. And the resulting position is equal material. I do have to watch out if I castle bishop a6. In some cases, maybe queen a4, I wouldn't lose material. So we could see queen d6. A natural move, defending the pawn. I think here I'd like to start with knight c3. A simple developing move, but also threatening knight b5 to like fork everything. Yeah, like both knights have some jumping potential. Oh, I should I forgot to change the stream title. Playing chess. Yeah, earlier I was watching chess. Now I'm playing chess. Appreciates people letting me know.
It's been a privilege to be here for the last 20 months, Eric. Thanks for all of the good times.
Oh, thank you, Agrippa. Welcome back. Okay, now what to do? C6 is a responsible move, preventing knight b5. e5 comes to mind. I mean, I don't want to commit my pawn to a dark square when I have the dark square bishop. I'm a little bit more inclined to play this and then rook d1. Yeah, really just trying to get all the pieces involved. Okay, rook d1. I think already black is in big trouble because queen's attacked. It's also defending the pawn. And there's really nowhere safe to go to keep the pawn defended. Like the only safe squares are c7 and b8. Maybe we'll see b5? Or knight e5, like some counterattack. All right, let's take the pawn. Oh, should I try and play the Halloween Untitled Tuesday? When is Halloween? It's Tuesday, I guess is already November 1st. I could still try though. Okay, so black castling. Yeah, all these pieces are huddling. It's hard to crack immediately. I have this move preparing knight f7. And that looks pretty strong. I could have castled too and just enjoy life, but I'm just trying to maximize my advantage here. Like, it's very hard to stop this move. In the event of queen e5, I take f4, kick the knight, and then hopefully get knight f7. Are there any openings in chess which you find boring or annoying? I'd say every opening, even like symmetrical openings, have some interesting features to them. So it's hard to call like any chess position boring. I guess the most boring chess position is king versus king. I mean, there's definitely annoying openings for certain players. There's definitely openings like maybe I don't enjoy facing just because I don't specialize in the theory or the structure. So rook e8. Okay, let's go for this. I think black is very close to being paralyzed. Yeah, now I'll just castle. I'm curious to see what black is doing next. I could have played this and won a rook. There's also bishop f. I should have played bishop f4 immediately because take, and then it's mating. But I think now, is it mating? Bishop c8 in the end. I'm a little bit spoiled for choice. I'll go for it. So I'm stacking a bishop to win knight and rook, and probably more things eventually. I'm trying to think of like the most annoying opening that I'm like terrified of playing against. I mean, part of like becoming a better chess player is being willing to enter positions outside your comfort zone so you learn more. I definitely avoid like the super theoretical lines like Neidorf and Grunfeld or Botvinnik Semislav. Okay. Everything's pinned on the 8th rank. We'll probably see Queen C7. But after Queen C7, not only are both bishops pinned, but the king, queen are tied down to this bishop. This rook is tied down to this bishop. Like almost nothing can move for black. And rook d7 is coming to almost trap the queen. Still not over. Okay, the bishop's no longer pinned. But, okay, now the queen is pinned. It's a party in black's territory. These are the party crashers. Yeah, Berlin is another opening I avoid with both colors. Even though it's like, it's a very interesting variation. It's just, there's players who have analyzed it way, way more than me. Where's my mate? Play a3 first. Preparing the pawn checkmate. Okay, now preparing the knight checkmate. I think b5 is the only move that doesn't get mated immediately. Okay. All right, that was a feel-good game. Yeah, slightly unusual opening. Black got under pressure a bit early. I mean, the line I was calculating when we got to this position was this, 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 and then this. And then this, and then this. I thought maybe we would enter that line. But the game took a different route. So the engine says I should just take the knight. But e6 is one of the best moves. That's the thematic idea. Hey, I gained a rating point. I probably gained like a fraction of a rating point, but it's enough to now show 2654. Okay, how to go back to tournament? Would you advise against learning the Grunfeld? I'm probably just neutral. Like if you're a d4 player, then you have to definitely learn how to deal with the Grunfeld. At least if you're playing like main lines. Now if you're black, I mean the Grunfeld, it's a big opening to learn. But it's very reliable and it's not at all a dubious opening. So it's definitely a reasonable long-term weapon. It just requires a lot of study. Did you gain rating OTB? Yes. I gained about 20 points. So the next FIDE rating list, my rating will be about 20 points higher. Okay, Queen's Pawn opening. Now the Grunfeld, playing my usual Queen's Gambit declined. Knight f3. So I can't quite play the Fabiano move order because I committed to d5 on move 1. He had the position today without the pawn on d5 and he played a6. So we could see a Catalan. We could see more traditional Queen's Gambit. I mean, knight c3 and g3 I think are the main moves by far. There's also e3 and bishop g5. Sometimes people take. Opponent taking their time. What is your favorite opening as white? I like to have different weapons as white, but I mean, London is usually my go-to opening for blitz or rapid. But in Qatar, I was playing e4 on move 1 in most of my white games. All about openings are extremely dubious and require no knowledge of theory. Do those annoy you? I mean, generally, I'm happy if my opponent is playing a dubious opening. Assuming I know it decently enough to not get trapped, then it's usually an opportunity to get an early advantage. So bishop d2, it's a little bit early. This is a drawback of playing e3 early for white, as this bishop is a little bit locked in. And yeah, the plan here is to put the bishop on b7. Even though I have a pawn on d5, the bishop and pawn can form a battery. And then longer term, I want to get a knight to e4, usually queen on e7, castle, maybe f5, rook e8, and then attack on the king side. Oh, enjoy your nap, Matt. Thanks for stopping by. Would you go for Petrov for anything except Stafford and Blitz? I don't play like mainline Petrov. So if I'm playing a Petrov move order, it's usually to go into a Stafford. Otherwise, I like Sicilian. A bit less dubious than Stafford Gambit. All right, let's castle. He might wants to do this and this. I think it's still okay. Like knight g3, I have g6 if necessary. I've played these structures a lot, but white's playing like a different move order and delaying castling. So I have to kind of figure out if there's any major differences. Like if I play g6, am I worried about this move? Probably not, because I just take. So yeah, I think g6 is useful. Generally nice to have a pawn here against a knight on g3. MX keys. That's a sign that my keyboard is low on battery. I need to charge it. I have a charger. I'm using a wireless keyboard. Not attached to anything. I need to find my USB-C charger. Bishop c3. Okay, so white's basically trying to do the same thing that I'm doing, is having the pawn bishop battery to make use of the central square. So knight e5, if it's white's move, knight e5 is an idea to follow with f4. So I probably want to play queen e7 or rook e8. And queen e7 is maybe a bit more flexible, just preventing knight e5. Did you see Levon's inspiration from you in Isle of Man? Yeah, I actually want to make a video like covering Levon's game. He was interviewed, I think it was the first round, right? Of the Grand Swiss. He was interviewed by Chessbase India after his game. And he gave me a special shout out. Like it was very kind. Because the opening he played resembled a Stafford Gambit. But it was a very improved version.
1 year Pog really enjoyed the tournament in Qatar. Watched every game during work.
Oh, that's nice to hear. Thank you, Spatissimus. Yeah, I enjoyed it too. It did take like a lot of energy during the event. But it was fun. I was happy with the overall play. So there's cases where h5, h4 makes sense. But, I mean, knight e4 looks just so nice here. Sometimes when you play this move, you have to calculate takes knight d2. And white's pressuring the pawn, having ideas of this. So the plan is after take knight d2 to play bishop d5. And then have a really nice bishop, preventing knight c4, preventing the pawn from pushing, so the bishop is still stuck. Of course, this knight can't take, because then I take and fork. But pressure is mounting. So f5 looks like a move. Should always consider the captures, but don't think those achieve much. Yeah, let's go for f5. The other thing to be very aware of is white's prospect of playing knight e5. So there are cases where white can play this even if I have more attackers than defenders.
Grab a drink.
I have my drink, and I'm grabbing my drink. It's my my tea for the day. I'm actually drinking what's called Christmas tea. It's a nice blend from Adagio. Has like cinnamon and ginger and nice spices. It's a black tea. Also, thank you, Cal Finch. First time Prime. Yeah, I was going to say that like knight e5 usually works if white has significant pressure on the c file. Like if the rook were already on c1, then knight e5 and like take would be okay for white probably because queen c7 in the end. So if white plays rook c1, I'd probably respond with rook c8. Rook e1. Rook e1 does give the f1 square for some minor pieces. And if I take, the queen can't take because I skewer. Pawn takes. I mean, f4 was an idea, but with a rook on e1, I probably don't want to open the e-file. I kind of like the prospect of h5. In some cases, this could be weakening, but I don't think white's really exploiting the structure. And if I get in h4, then yeah, making some progress, have ideas of h3 later, maybe even like g5, g4. I'm pretty sure like this exact setup is called the Pillsbury. Maybe just call it Collie, like reverse Collie. But with knight on e4, pawn on f5, pieces develop like this, there's a lot of attacking potential. Or is it the Pilsner? I forget exactly. I thought it was Pillsbury. Oh, Pilsner is beer. Yeah, this position is a little bit different from beer. Okay, so knight d2 does enable f3. If I play h4, knight f1.
Congratulations for all the rating improvement.
Oh, thank you, Crow.
I like it when you mix up the openings.
I like it too. All right, let's take with pawn. There's one reason for playing f5 is to have cases where the f-file opens. Now this resembles an advanced French structure. I have the space advantage. Direct vision against this and this. I mean, I could consider sacking, like takes and then takes. Time is getting lower. I'm trying to calculate the sack. Probably not worth it. Like it's a little bit unclear. And queen g5 comes to mind. A rook f5 also kind of multi-purpose. Does white want to play f4 though? Maybe I'll start with queen g5. Because now f4 I just take. There's no worry about queen g6. And the g-pawn's now pinned, so... yeah, like h3 is on tap. And maybe very soon there's ideas of knight f6 to g4. Because, I mean, these pawns are definitely the major targets. And with the bishop on f1, there's no knight f1. At least coming soon. Which means it's harder to defend h2. How is the T? The T is good. Yeah, the T is a blend that was sent to me by someone maybe over a year ago. Or previous winter season. There's a question, how do you come up with ideas in the middle game? Sometimes there's no clear plan. Hopefully this game is an example of how to formulate some plan in the middle game. Like sometimes it's a matter of just making gradual improvements, fighting for different types of positional advantages, whether it be space or superior pieces, or going for pawn breaks and controlling space, or opening up lines. But of course, in the middle game, you have to be very tactically alert too. Try and find that balance between positional chess and then the very concrete calculations. Okay, I'm calculating some sacks, but do I want to play knight g4? There's also bishop c8, which is interesting. White might want to play f4 next, because takes. I play h3 first. I'm taking time here because I'm not entirely sure what I should be doing. h3, g3. Let's play bishop c8. So one practical tip, if you're not sure what to do, especially in middle game positions, sometimes a simple question you can ask yourself is, what is the worst place piece and how can I improve it? And that's kind of what I did there. Like my bishop was not doing anything. And there's a simple way to make it do something. But of course, yeah, things are getting interesting here. So assuming bishop takes, I have this move. Of course, my rook needs improving too. So even though white removed my pawn, now I have the square to work with. So there's ideas of knight e4 or bishop e4. I'm liking knight e4. So if takes, I'll have a monster bishop. Otherwise, I'll have a monster knight. Can I sack the bishop? Take here, h3. I mean, I think rook e8 is a simple improving move. Align with a queen. Now all my pieces are pretty happy. Like they're all doing something. Generally, when your pieces are optimized, that's when tactics are most likely. I'm not sure if I'm actually threatening anything obvious. Maybe there's some crazy knight g3. It definitely seems ripe for tactics. h3. Let's start with h3. I'm not worried about white taking, because then I take and trap the bishop. I'm trying to make more weaknesses in white's king side. If g3, then yeah, sacking becomes more more attractive. I mean, visually, it still looks very, very good. I have this move. I could also take and go into a pleasant endgame, but I'd rather keep queens on the board. Oh no, my pawn. I play bishop f3 now. If I take queen takes... Yeah, let's play bishop f3. If g3, it's hopefully going to be full domination. Like after g3, the knight will have no legal moves. Bishop g2 on tap. What's my plan? My plan is to probably keep improving my pieces. Does white want to sack? Let's start with rook f3. Okay, so white does sack. Now, yeah, now there's major f-file pressure. I have rook f2. I think I'll start with this move, though. Just prepare rook f2. Almost trapping the queen. Okay. Queen h1 was, I guess queen h1 I take on f1. Okay, that was a pleasant game. Yeah, the play actually flowed like very nicely from the opening. It was one of these like Kali type setups, except white had a slightly less desirable setup, I would say. And basically from this position, I think it's a good example of how to like play going into the middle game. Like look for the ways to improve, especially the minor pieces and the potential pawn moves to gain space or open lines. And yeah, most of this game was just making my pieces better. Like the tactics didn't really come until much later. I guess there's some argument this whole game was like purely positional. Was rook takes f3 a move? At what point? Not sure if rook f3 was ever legal. Of course, I'd love to use my jump spell. Use my jump spell and take the king, but yeah, the knight was in the way. Anyway, I'm going to take a small break. I'll be back momentarily. In the meantime, I'll put on Grand Swiss if there's any games still going. Did Hikaru win? Hey, Hikaru won, so he's tied for first. Also, thank you, Krell, gifting 5. I appreciate that. Wow, this looks crazy. Jumabayev low on time. Okay, I'll be back momentarily. I would not want to play this game over the board. Yeah, this looks terrifying for both sides. Usually the bishop is better in these situations than the knight, but white's pawns are further advanced. Also, why did black just not... Oh, black queens... Yeah, there's takes, and g7, man. Pawn's too dangerous. So the bishop has to stay keeping an eye on f7. I mean, it looks like white should be winning somehow, but time will tell. What's the longest game you've ever had? I think it was Title Tuesday. I think it's on YouTube. Eric Rosen, longest game. Oh, is this one? It was this one. It was 186 moves. The game is in like the official database, like mega database, because it was in Title Tuesday. It was basically maybe 100 moves of playing out a drawn rook ending. Eventually, my opponent. Actually, I don't want to spoil it, but the game ended decisively. Yeah, just search for Eric Rosen. I'm sorry. Okay, we're taking a quick detour to just see the ongoing games, but yeah, I'll return. Let's return to the tournament. Okay, I'll play at least a couple more games. How about sticking with e4? Haven't played a London in a while. But like after playing Qatar, I feel so inspired to keep playing this e4 repertoire. Ooh. I kind of want to take and see if we'd enter a Stafford. But I also want to. I'd like to try out my new weapon in the Scotch. Yeah, so I'm gonna play a 4-night Scotch. This is the opening I played in the final round of the Qatar Masters. And it's probably one of the most popular openings, like across levels. Like you see a lot of GM games in this. Also, a lot of beginners play this. I think there was at least one game in the Grand Swiss in this line. It was Jeffrey Zhang against Jumabayev. And Jeffrey actually played the offbeat move that I played in Qatar, which is after d5, which most players play. There's bishop d2. So castling. I'm pretty sure Jumabayev actually castled against Jeffrey, but then they transposed. Ooh. Okay, well, this is new. h6. Black still laying d5. I'm trying to make sense of this. Can I play e5 and just try and punish black for not fighting for the center? Because usually after d5, e5, there's knight g4, but the bishop no longer controls g4. So what's happening? I guess there's knight d5, but then knight e4 looks pretty good for white. In a different case, there's takes, knight d5, c4. Also looks pretty good for white. Yeah, I think this is a case where I just try and punish black for being a little bit slow. We'll see what black wants to do. Irene with tactics in the chat. The thing is, when people share tactics that I would not have seen otherwise, I can't play them in the game. It's one of the moral requirements when looking at chat. Thankfully, we don't go into that line, so don't have to worry for any moral dilemma. Yeah, with this line, I think c4 is probably the way to go. Irene maybe sharper with the tactics than me. So now the knight has 3 choices. If knight b4, I'll be considering bishop a3. Or maybe bishop e4 to start. But in most cases, yeah, the two bishops combined with the pawn, it'll be pleasant for white. Black's a little bit underdeveloped. After the game, we can check the engine analysis. So we do see knight b4. I'd really not want to overthink things too much. I really like just playing bishop e4 and moving on with life. I don't give black a chance to take, because bishop a3, there's e5. It's nice to actually prevent c5, because now... Okay, now bishop a3 might actually be a threat. Also moves like a3. Black attacking. So f4 comes to mind. All right, f4 looks nice. Yeah, eventually we'll try and exploit the queen, like g3, or maybe just leave the queen there. No, the 186 moves was Title Tuesday. But these days, the Title Tuesday games make the database. So it's a game that I guess over-the-board opponents could stumble upon in preparing for me. I'm trying to think of like a tournament game. I had a game at the US Open like years ago that I'm pretty sure crossed 200 moves, but I had stopped notating, so it was a 5-second delay. It was back during a different time when you didn't have to notate the whole game. So f5. Black's been the aggressor for the last few moves. If I take, queen takes, or rook is hit, I think I don't mind playing. I could start with g3 as well. Let's start with bishop f3. Hey, it's Gary. I don't know if Gary was watching earlier. Gary was gifted a sub earlier. Also, I was looking at the rapid leaderboard on Lichess earlier. And I'm pretty sure Gary is rated 2655, so the goal is to catch up to that. 1 point away. Okay, this is the first non-aggressive move in a while from black. So a3 is forces knight a6. g3 is forcing. Rook b1 would create the pin. I'm actually curious about rook b1. Because black would like to defend the rook. I guess knight a6 is still possible there. All right, so what to do? Do I play this? Again, bishop a3, there's c5, and then c3, knight a6. It'll take some time here. c5 could be interesting as like a positional prophylactic move, but allows some activity. Also allows knight d5. I have an idea. Bishop e3. Attacking a pawn and threatening this. And just the most central square for the bishop, too. Yeah, it's one of these positions that there were a lot of good-looking options, and I just have to not spend all my time. Yeah, there's cases where I leave the pawn hanging because bishop d5 check tactics. Okay, I'll take the pawn. So now I have a passed a pawn, which could be relevant for later. There's a question, could I play bishop a3 first? I was considering it, but c5 would defend and break the pin. Am I losing back a2? So if I play bishop f2, then queen f4 becomes possible. I'm pretty sure the a2 pawn is poisonous. Although maybe bishop d4. Because there's a case like after takes, queen b1 will trap the knight. Then there's no knight c3. All right. Oh no, my pawn. Okay, I'm not sure what black is going to do here. Bishop a6 looks like an idea, but then a3 would trap the knight. Yeah, the reason why I didn't play bishop f2 is queen takes f4. Although maybe somehow it's still okay. But I'm just trying to maintain control over the position. It is nice having the bishop pair, having more space in the center. The knight and queen are a little bit in no man's land. Oh no, my keyboard again. I just turn off my keyboard. I don't need to be typing now. All right, again, what to do? Queen d2. I mean, I'm trying to bait black to take the pawn. It should still be poisonous. I'm envisioning c5. Like, if it's my move, and I play c5, because knight d5, c4 traps a knight, I believe. Otherwise, knight a6, queen c3, I defend the pawn. And then it's not great for black to push the d-pawn. But okay, black does take the bait. And now, I mean, I think takes queen a5. Knight b4 and then bishop c5 is probably the simplest line. And it prevents queen a3. Not seeing how black saves the knights. And black did resist for a few moves, taking the pawn. At some point, it became too tempting. It's like yesterday's game with Richard reporting against Hans. Like, he took the poison pawn. Of course, that was like much more high level. Did c3 also work? Yeah, there may have been like multiple lines there, but I saw one line that seemed good, so didn't want to spend energy looking at the other lines. Real quick, let's check c3. Yeah, c3 should be fine. Because queen a3, rook a1. All right, bishop d5. Go for simplification. So finally undoubling the c-pawns. We'll have a nice control of squares in black's territory. Oh, my rook. Oh no. Someone call an ambulance. Yeah, if queen takes rook, it was mate. In this case, an ambulance might still need to be called, but not for me. Okay. A nice ending. Yeah, I was excited to like play this new theory, which was my weapon in Qatar, but opponent played h6, and I think I did what I had to do in this e5 move. Yeah, d5 is really the best move here. Maybe rook e8 playable too. Okay, moving on. Moving on. 2655, tied with Gari. Am I on the leaderboard yet? Hey! Oh, but it's not refreshed. It still says 2654. So Gari's still a spot ahead of me. What's Gari's actual rapid rating? Rapid 2655.61. And I'm 2655.50. Okay. Oh, playing a high rated player. Okay, good luck to my opponent. Play d5. Yeah, this e3 line. e3, b3. I think I'll play bishop g4. We'll have a reverse Torre. I'd prepared some lines in this in Qatar. Knight d7. I'm trying to remember what I was preparing. Pretty sure I looked at h5. I'm pretty sure I can play it right away. I remember some trap, like if h3, then there's takes g5 should be very strong. And then if knight e5, there's a case where like takes knight g4, I'm pretty sure. I was studying these lines mainly with inclusion of c5, c6, but I think it should still be quite similar. But now I'm trying to figure out like what's the point after takes knight g4 f4. It's the drawback of like trying to remember prep without actually understanding the nuances. I mean, f3 is maybe coming, so I feel like I have to take on e2. There's an idea. Okay, let's take on e2. I'll play knight g4. I'm looking at this and then h3 and then this. The idea is just to maneuver to f5. And eventually target the e4 square. Yeah, it kind of feels like a reverse London, but there's some differences. Of course, I should note that if takes, then h2 hangs, so almost certainly not good for white to open the h-file. Check the blitz rating. Okay. It is nice to be able to play like a new idea I discovered recently, because this h5 move I had not seen before Qatar. I forget who I was preparing it for. One of my later opponents. Oh yeah, it was the opponent who played g3 against me. I forget his name, but he was also capable of playing b3 early on. I guess I should be calculating like f4. Do I have any other options? Because queen h4 could be interesting. Actually, yeah, let's try and calculate deeper. So f4, queen h4, there's g3 or knight f3. Knight f3, I probably play queen e7. Or queen f6. It seems fine. So f4, queen h4, g3, queen h3. Queen g2 doesn't work because I take and take. And maybe I'm threatening f4. But do I have to be scared of knight f3, h4, knight g5? I'm trying to make sense of this position. So f4, queen h4, g3, queen h3. Assume knight f3. And white's taking a long time here too. Just not sure what else to expect. Like maybe h3? No, h3, the knight's hanging, so maybe knight f3? And f4 is committal, like long term. Let me look closer at the other line too. So knight d f6. h3, knight h6. Am I scared of g4? Take. Probably not, because I take, whatever takes back, I take on g4. And if white doesn't get in g4, then I should get in some setup with like h4, knight f5. I mean, both moves kind of look attractive though, like between queen h4 and knight df6. Okay, let's go deeper. So queen h4, g3, queen h3. H4 is not a threat though. Yeah, also seems just a little bit too risky. So knight df6, h3, knight h6, knight d2, knight f5, knight f3. Oh no, I have knight g3 ideas too. Let's go for this. Hopefully I'm not missing anything. Oh no, my keyboard. It is weird having like this knight on f6 and this knight on g4, but My intention is to maneuver if white plays h3. And h3 has a drawback of weakening g3. So basically, if the pawn commits here and I can get a knight to f5 and pawn on h4, it's a very nice grip on the position. I'm basically playing around this knight for a little while because f6 is not coming anytime soon. White's being patient. Yeah, it's probably smart not to include h3. Play queen e7 and castle queenside. I completely forgot about this idea. I guess e3 would be hanging in some lines. But yeah, maybe I should start with c6. Just solid move. And then if knight here, that might allow for knight e4. Can we see c4? I'll play queen e7. Really just a waiting move, kind of just trying to stay flexible. If c5, bishop c7. I want to make sure I'm keeping the time advantage too. There's maybe some cases where I play rook d1 and then, or rook d8 and go for c5. Okay, white's going to go for the long-term pawn storm. So now, yeah, what's my plan? Knight e4.
Hi from South Dakota.
Hello, welcome back to Andy. The problem with knight e4 is I lose a pawn. Take. Do I have some crazy g5 idea on any point? I'm also considering taking. Feels wrong, but not super comfortable here. Knight there. And just rook c8. The idea is to me b5 with bishop a5. I just want to defend the c-pawn in a lot of cases too. Although bishop a5, knight b3. It's not pleasant. I take. Let's try taking. I'm getting squeezed here a little bit. So there's a line, okay, assuming f takes. There's this line here. I lose a pawn. My idea is to play g6 and knight f5 and use the h-file. I assume white's going to throw in taking. On the bright side, the bishop's not so happy. I still have the time advantage. e4, very thematic. Okay, maybe g6 now. And dark squares are weak long term then. Oh, queen g5 too. Some idea queen e3. Trade queens and then get the knight to c4. That's still very double-edged. Like maybe white should have started with h3 because, yeah, now the queen and knight can work together. Maybe soon I'll just castle. Get the rooks connected, get the king safe, defend f7. Bishop c1. Yeah, I think queen e3 is called for. Oh, because, yeah, after takes, I'm not only hitting the rook, I'm threatening knight c2. The d4 pawn won't be defended. Which, like, I almost missed this myself. Now white's position should be crumbling. Yeah, the knight's been hopping very majestically. I do have to be careful. Like, if I take the pawn, there's some shish kebab on the diagonal. a7 is a little bit weak. I could take the bishop first. Avoiding the shish kebab. Yeah, and then after I take here, if takes a7, I fork. Okay, I have options here. I could trade knights. Trade knights and rook c7 is probably simplest. Then king e7. I mean, I still have castling rights, but I'd rather my king be in the center. Play a delayed bong cloud. Yeah, better to go for activity. So up 2 pawns. White's rooks are kind of both passive. Like rook c4 may be coming. I'm really in no rush though. Like maybe this move. Because c6, king d6. Okay. Yeah, so that turned good for me, like really quickly. I think I was worse, like probably after b4 it's preferable for white. But I think white should have started with h3. And then maybe gone for the pawn. Like, I was kind of expecting this line, h3. Or takes first and then h3, here. I was going to play g6. The problem with this is the dark squares are long-term weaknesses, and the bishop could maybe maneuver. Hey, I gained 9 rating points. It was a perfect game for the last, like, 4 moves. Let's, yeah, I'm mainly curious about the opening. So yeah, I knew h5 is like a major idea. I had mainly prepared the position with inclusion of these moves. And I knew h5 here, but it should be very similar. Oh, I'm not supposed to take. What is knight e4? Knight e4 f3? Wow. This would be like crazy engine prep. That's really cool though, because knight e5 is a natural move in the position to allow for f3. So it'd be crazy to blitz out knight e4 and just get forked and then play queen g5, leaving both pieces here. I'm kind of struggling to understand, like, what if white just defends the e3 pawn? Ah, bishop h3. And there's no rook f2. Wow. So these are the two threats. f4, queen h6, the queen gets on the h file. So yeah, white's never able to take. I assume h3, like there's some h3 just taken knight g3. So also bishop to f5 is playable. And then it's kind of like a London where we lost a tempo, but we got in this move. And knight g4 is coming. What was the name of the opening played? What does Lichess call this? So it starts as a ready, or Zukertort. And then, yeah, Lichess just calls this a Zukertort. I mean, this setup is reverse Torre. The Torre is very similar to London, except rather than having the bishop here, it goes here. Also, thank you, Chessian. Happy 15 months. Does Eric have a Rosen trophy in each category? No, there's actually a few that I'm missing. I think I have most of them, though. Question about rook takes c5. If you mean here, then no. Because d3 was controlled by the rook. So I couldn't get a knight d3. Of course, in the final position, yeah, I'm threatening rook c5. London is so bad, even with a lost tempo with black, it's still equal. But it was a reverse London. So maybe you mean to say even though it's so good? Because yeah, it's reverse London and black lost a tempo. So I guess equality is kind of the expected evaluation there. But it's hard to make a blanket statement on an opening based on one specific line.
To disturb your game analysis, Eric.
Oh, no worries.
Looking into the Nimzovich defense for black.
Nimzovich.
A lot of people can't find the right moves for white. The score is incredible for black.
Are you talking about this one?
This opening? Smiley face.
I think there's a few Nimzovich defenses. Oh no, this is Chigorin, never mind. So I assume this one is the one you're referring to. Also, thanks for the bits. 1,040 bits from Mr. Snatcher. Wait, so what's... A lot of people can't find the right moves. Well, there's a lot of playable moves against this. I guess it depends what you play on move 2. Also depends what white plays on move 2. Because if d4, then there's e5 or d5. Or d6. Magnus played this, right? I think Magnus would usually play d6 here. Oh, Magnus played d5. Sometimes it could transpose too into a normal king's pawn. Yeah, I'd love to give more insights, but it's one of these openings that can branch out really quickly. So you're talking about the e6 variation. I don't know what the e6 variation is. Does it start with knight c6 or? Yeah, feel free to like share the exact chess notation from the beginning of the game. I will say knight c6 is not an opening I've dabbled with so much. But it's an interesting surprise weapon. I know Kostya Kavutsky had used this as like a pet line in serious classical chess. But I think he mainly played it with this d6 move order. And then, like, if d5, knight b8, and it's some sort of Pirc where white's overextended. Oh, I forgot I could also just go to this tab and type in Nimzo. Yeah, Nimzovich had like a lot of openings named after him. A lot of variations within the Nimzo Larsen. Let's say Nimzowich. So Nimzowich Defense. There's also Nimzowich Attack in the Petrov. There's a Wheeler Gambit. B4 on move 2. I'm looking for the E6 variation. The Hornung Gambit. Wait, this is interesting. Also, I think I'm done for rapid chess for the day. My rating has risen. Right? Yeah, I got the trophy. If we go to here, I'm currently it hasn't updated. I think I leapfrogged Gory. I should be like in the 2660s now. So closing in on top 30.
Hi Eric. Well done in Qatar.
Oh, thank you, G Duffy. Okay, so Booty Snatcher is clarified. So it's E4, Knight C6, D4, E5. Remember there was a game, Tamaz Galashvili. I feel like he played this in some tournament. He was a grandmaster that used to play a lot of like strong US Open events. And he was known for playing like weird openings. Knight f3, Knight g6. Yeah, so in the Lichess database, Black scores really well here. Probably for good reason, because like with this structure, I think especially for, let's say, sub-master players, it's just much easier to understand what Black is trying to do. Like if you can get the bishop here, and then later attack on the king side, I assume most players will castle king side. You already have your two knights, not only helping defend your king side, but also ready to pounce and attack. Stockfish probably says white's a little bit better. Yeah, if white, especially if white knows this h4 move. But most people play knight c3, which makes life a bit easier for Black. And bishop c5, and yeah, you get nice harmony among the pieces. Are you planning to ever do the Holy Gambit Grail speedrun? I don't think I would do a speedrun, but I would do like it would be cool to have like a series trying to knock out all the gambits. What opening should I play to grow from 2000 elo at Bullet? Don't think there's really a right answer to that. And generally in Bullet, you should play the openings that you're most comfortable with, that lead to structures that are easy to play. And that can vary from player to player. Yeah, sometimes you want to play f5 in these structures. So yeah, maybe you delay this. Maybe in some cases you get the knight here. Although, yeah, you have to be careful playing knight here. Yeah, if you like the structure in the Nimzovich, then you might also like the Knight's Tango, also known as a Mexican defense. knight c6, because a lot of players will play knight c3, most common move on chess, and then e5. And then basically you get the same structure, pawn on e5, pawn on d5, and then similar plans too, where the bishop will develop d6. And this can be very pleasant to play. Like Fabiano has played this as a pet line, though maybe his games don't make the database. Anyway, I think I'm going to wrap things up. It was a eventful stream. Got to watch some high-level chess. Got to play some slightly lower-level chess. Answered a bunch of questions. Yeah, the thing is, if you play this Mexican defense, you have to be prepared for knight f3, and then you can't quite play e5. But here you can look at Fabiano's games. I think Fabiano likes e6. And there's still cases where if you get in bishop b4, then there's a plan to play e6 or d6, queen e7, e5. Get the same structure. Judah's still playing, really? Wow. Not quite a table-based position. Judah's up the exchange, trying to win. Yeah, this could be a very long endgame. Rook h4. Yeah, using the pin. Knight would love to teleport to f5. Okay. The time has come to send a raid. Oops. Can I send a raid? Not logged into the chat. There we go. Okay. Let's send some love to Jessie Feb. Looks like she's doing some puzzle battle. So thanks again, everyone, for watching. Stay tuned for more streams, more YouTube content. Thanks again, everyone, for all the support, and I'll see you guys soon.